In the bustling village of Kimadi, two girls were known for their extraordinary friendship. Alia, born into a life of luxury, was the daughter of a wealthy merchant who owned half the trading stores in the village. She wore fine clothes, ate the best food, and had maids to tend to her every need. Abiba, in stark contrast, lived a modest life. Her parents were farmers who struggled to make ends meet, but their home was filled with love and kindness. Despite their differences, Alia and Abiba formed an unbreakable bond. Abiba often helped Alia's family with chores, fetched water from the stream, and accompanied her to the market. Alia, in return, would share small luxuries like ribbons and jewelries with Abiba. They complemented each other. Alia was bold and outspoken, while Abiba was gentle and thoughtful. Together, they seemed inseparable. Alia's parents were fond of Abiba. Her presence is a blessing to our family, Alia's mother often said. She keeps Alia grounded and out of trouble. Alia's father agreed, noting that Abiba's humility and good behavior made her a perfect companion for their daughter. Abiba's parents, though initially wary of their daughter mingling with the wealthy, were reassured by her stories of how Alia treated her like a sister. They prayed daily that their friendship would remain pure and untainted by the inevitable differences in their social statuses. One bright afternoon, Alia and Abiba were on their way to the market. The sun was high, and the streets were alive with traders calling out their wares. As they walked, a sleek black car approached, stopping just a few feet away. A man in a fine uniform stepped out and approached them. "My boss wishes to speak with you," he said, addressing both girls. Alia, always quick to assert her status, scoffed. "Who does he think he is, sending his servants to summon us like commoners? Does he know who I am?" She launched into a tirade, insulting the servant and refusing to listen. The servant, taken aback by her behavior, stood his ground. "It is not for me to question my boss's orders," he said calmly. Alia grew angrier, even slapping the man in her fury. Abiba, horrified, stepped in. "Please forgive her," she begged the servant. "She doesn't mean any harm." She quickly pulled Alia away, apologizing profusely. In the car, Prince Haruna watched everything unfold. He was intrigued by Abiba's grace under pressure and appalled by Alia's arrogance. Prince Haruna, recently returned from his studies abroad, was adjusting to life in Kimandi. His father, the king, had tasked him with finding a wife among the village maidens, though he initially resisted the idea, believing marriage should be about love and not duty. His encounter with Abiba changed his perspective. Her humility and quick thinking at the market intrigued him. Who was this girl, and why was she friends with someone as brash as Alia? A few days later, fate intervened. Haruna, dressed in plain clothes to avoid recognition, encountered Abiba on a quiet path leading to Alia's house. "Good afternoon," he greeted, his voice kind but firm. "Good afternoon," Abiba replied, bowing her head slightly. Though she didn't know he was the prince, she treated him with the utmost respect. Their conversation was brief, but Haruna couldn't help but admire her composure. As she walked away, he found himself smiling. That evening, Alia and her friends gathered under the big mango tree to braid each other's hair. Aisha, one of the girls, brought up the latest gossip. Have you heard? The prince has returned. Imagine marrying him and becoming queen." The girls giggled and dreamed aloud. Alia, however, took the conversation seriously. "He won't marry any of you," she declared. "Do you think the prince is a fool? He will marry someone of his status, someone like me." Abiba chuckled softly. "I wish you all the best, Alia," she said, her tone sincere. Haruna continued observing the two girls. During a village event, he noticed how Alia tried to dominate the conversation, boasting about her family's wealth, while Abiba remained quiet, offering smiles and kind words to those around her. Haruna's admiration for Abiba grew, while his distaste for Alia solidified. Haruna decided to test Abiba's character. He sent a trusted servant disguised as a weary traveler to her family's home. The servant asked for water and food, and Abiba's family welcomed him warmly, offering what little they had. When he tried to pay, they refused. The servant returned to the palace, recounting the story to Haruna. "She is truly remarkable," the prince muses. Alia began to notice Haruna's interest in Abiba. Her jealousy consumed her, and she started spreading rumors, claiming that Abiba was using her kindness to manipulate the prince. Haruna arranged another test, disguising himself as a traveler in need. When Abiba treated him with the same kindness as before, his heart was set. Desperate to win Haruna, Alia spread malicious rumors about Abiba. Though the villagers were skeptical, the seeds of doubt began to sprout. One day, Alia lured Abiba to the stream, pretending to lose her calabash. She begged Abiba for help. As Abiba leaned over the water, Alia pushed her in. Panicked, she fled, believing she had rid herself of her rival. At home, Abiba's absence was felt immediately. Her family and friends searched tirelessly, but there was no trace of her. When questioned, Alia coldly claimed that they had parted ways near the edge of the village. The villagers whispered among themselves, suspecting foul play, but lacking evidence. Alia feigned concern, even visiting Abiba's family with false tears. Her act fooled many, but not all. When Haruna learned of Abiba's disappearance, he was devastated. He withdrew from public life, spending hours walking the palace gardens lost in thought. His father, the king, noticed his son's despair and urged him to move on, but Haruna couldn't. She was more than just a kind girl, he told his confidant. She was different. She was genuine. With Abiba gone, Alia saw her opportunity. She began frequenting the palace under the guise of helping with royal charity work. Her newfound humility and kindness seemed to win over some of the court members. Haruna, though polite, remained distant. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about Alia's behavior. The village annual festival approached, a time of celebration and unity. The king declared it a day for all maidens to showcase their talents in hopes of catching the prince's eye. Alia was determined to outshine everyone. She practiced her dance move at her father's compound every evening before her maids. The day of the festival arrived, and the village square was alive with music, dancing, and laughter. The maidens, dressed in their finest attire, performed intricate dances to impress the prince. Alia took center stage, twirling and smiling, confident she was winning Haruna over. But as the crowd clapped, a sudden murmur swept through from them. A figure appeared at the edge of the square. Abiba. She was alive. Her appearance was modest, her dress simple, but her presence was commanding. She walked confidently towards the center of the crowd, her eyes meeting Alia's. Before the gathered crowd, Abiba recounted her story. She described how Alia had pushed her into the stream and left her to drown. That fateful day, as the waters engulfed Abiba, she struggled to stay afloat, her strength waning. Just as she thought it was the end, a farmer passing by noticed her desperate flailing. Without hesitation, he dove into the stream and pulled her to safety. Abiba was unconscious when he carried her to his small hut on the outskirts of the village. His wife nursed her back to health, feeding her broth and tending to her bruises. When Abiba regained consciousness, she recounted her ordeal, but begged them not to tell anyone yet. She feared for her life and needed time to process what had happened. Gasps echoed through the square. Alia tried to interrupt, shouting, "She's lying, she's trying to ruin me." But Abiba's calm composure and the farmer's testimony silenced her. The farmer, who had come to the festival, stepped forward to confirm Abiba's account. Alia's bravado crumbled. The crowd demanded justice. The village elders convened immediately. After deliberating, they declared Alia guilty of attempted murder. As punishment, she and her family were banished from Kimandi, their wealth confiscated to benefit the community. Alia's cries echoed as the guards escorted her away. Abiba, ever gracious, forgave her in her heart, but made no effort to intervene in the elders' judgment. The village rallied around Abiba, celebrating her return. Though she bore the emotional scars of betrayal, she found solace in the love and support of her family and friends. Haruna, learning of her return, wasted no time in seeking her out. Haruna arrived at Abiba's home unannounced, accompanied by his father and the royal court. Kneeling before her, he declared his intentions. "I have admired you from afar, Abiba," he said. "Your kindness, humility, and strength have captured my heart. I wish to spend my life with you, if you will have me." Abiba hesitated, her humble background making her unsure, but her parents reassured her, reminding her that true love transcends status. Finally, she accepted, bringing tears of joy to her family. The entire village came together to prepare for the royal wedding. Even those who had doubted Abiba now celebrated her as a true queen in spirit. Haruna ensured that the ceremony reflected both royal grandeur and Abiba's humble roots, blending the two worlds that had brought them together. The day of the wedding was unforgettable as Abiba and Haruna dressed in their royal wedding regalia. The vows they exchanged spoke of love, respect, and unity, bringing tears to the eyes of all present. The union was celebrated with feasting, dancing, and storytelling that lasted well into the night. Far away in the remote village where she had been banished, Alia reflected on her actions. Stripped of her wealth and status, she began to understand the value of humility and kindness. Though she resented Abiba at first, over time, she came to accept that her own arrogance had been her downfall. As the new queen, Abiba used her position to help the less fortunate, ensuring that no one in Kimandi felt overlooked. Her actions won the hearts of the people, who praised her as a ruler of unmatched compassion. Haruna stood by Abiba, supporting her initiatives and ensuring she never felt out of place in the palace. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, rooted in mutual respect and admiration. Abiba became known as the People's Queen, a title she wore with pride. She introduced reforms that improved education and health care, earning her the eternal gratitude of her people. Together, Haruna and Abiba built a legacy of love and unity. Their story became a tale passed down through generations, a reminder that true worth lies in the heart, not in wealth or status. Years later, as they watched their children play in the palace gardens, Haruna turned to Abiba and said, "You were worth every test, every trial. You are my heart." Abiba smiled, her eyes shining with love. "And you are mine." They lived happily ever after, their love story etched in the heart of all who heard it.
Senna, bringing you amazing life stories. Stay tuned.